This week on Across the Arrowverse, a storm was brewing for Supergirl, the Flash was stationary, the Legends had a doll god, and Team Arrow learned that secrets can hurt them. Hi everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host Matthew Vose, and I'm joined as always by Catherine Kay.
Hi everybody.
This week we are going to be discussing the episode Supergirl, Rain, The Flash, Don't Run, The Legends of Tomorrow, Bebo, the God of War, and Arrow, Irreconcilable Differences.
Yeah, interesting week. I feel a little bit like it was a sort of a little come down from the crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of the crossover was so good. It was so exciting.
Yes.
I feel like, and we ended on such a high and in such a happy place for most people, Stein aside. But, sorry. But, you know, we ended in such a positive place for most of the shows. Mm-hmm. And we knew coming into this episode, because it's the one before the mid-season break, they all have to end on some kind of cliffhanger and sort of potential doom and gloom situation.
Yeah.
And I think across the 4 episodes, some of them still managed to give us an entertaining and enjoyable episode to get there. Mm-hmm. Some of us less so.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a little bit like the hangover after the great party.
Yeah, you would expect that with the crossover, we talked about how it's a good advert potentially for the other shows, so people who don't watch Supergirl and Legends might have watched them for the crossover and go, oh, this is quite interesting, maybe we'll... So you would expect them to follow it up with really good episodes that would absolutely hook people if they kept watching to the next week.
Yeah, agreed, and potentially episodes that would act as an access point to the stories for people who potentially may, rather than saying, hey, I think that Supergirl character's a bit of okay, let me give that a go, and starting to watch from episode 1 of series 1, they might just start from where we are.
Absolutely. So you would imagine they wouldn't have huge amounts of detail about characters and relationships and where they'd give you exposition, and it wouldn't be boring because they'd be building on an exciting crossover.
You'd imagine, right?
Yeah. So, Supergirl. Rain. This was not a good episode.
No, it actually felt a little dull.
Yeah.
Which is a bit weird, because it shouldn't have felt dull, but it did.
Yeah. There was a lot about her being sad about Mon-El and his wife, which she's allowed to do, but it was the same beat every single time, and they didn't resolve it or move it forward. I don't feel like by the end she learned to deal with it, or they learned to be different about it. It's just reminding us that this is hard for her.
Yeah, we've definitely not resolved that. I'm hoping they'll start to resolve it fairly quickly. I mean, even if that is stick Mon-El back in hypersleep for the rest of his 20,000-year journey, or however long he needs to continue being asleep to get back to his time. They have a lot of faith in that machinery, don't they?
They really do. Rain, we spent a lot of the episode investigating a symbol, which okay, but wasn't interesting. It wasn't done in an interesting fashion.
I think part of it was it wasn't a mystery to the viewer.
No, yeah, true.
So whilst it may have been this great mystery to Supergirl, we're kind of like, we know what's going to happen now, so this is now dull.
Yes.
But...
yeah, we're just waiting for her to find it out rather than uncovering a piece each way. Because, if we hadn't known, we would have gone, the beast, the devil, this is all quite exciting.
What I did like about Rain was when we finally got the fight with Rain and Supergirl, I did like the fact that Rain is actually, or this is maybe this is my interpretation of it. I liked the fact that Rain is actually a kryptonite and a tool, a krypton. Oh, yeah.
Kryptonian.
Kryptonian, sorry. So Rain is a Kryptonian with the powers of Supergirl, but is a tool of the god. and therefore is not so overpowered that Supergirl has actually no chance of defeating her.
Yeah.
They are relatively evenly matched. Now, obviously, not yet fully evenly matched at this moment, because that would make for a really quick story.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see that there's a potential for a battle rather than it's just overwhelming force, and they'll have to have a gimmick to beat her in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, there will be something. It feels a little bit like the Flash having to get faster to beat Zoom and Savitar.
Yes.
The building up of his powers.
Yes.
Maybe we'll see something similar here. But this feels like it's got a wider context to come as well.
Yes, I agree.
We've not quite discovered everything. I was so impressed that Supergirl was actually damaged.
Yes.
We're so used to her being largely invulnerable, she just gets a bit worn out.
Yeah.
That it was not shocking, but it was surprising to see her bleeding.
Yeah.
And fairly refreshing to go, oh, I can actually worry about this character now.
I agree.
So it left us with Supergirl beaten down utterly into the street.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where the cliffhanger for that was. And the shocking Sam turns around at Ruby.
Yeah,
Cliffhanger.
I did not see the point of that, but I wouldn't. Well, I think the denouement of this storyline is that her love for this unexpected daughter, unexpected both to her foster mum and to her psycho goddess, whatever she is from the spaceship mum, I think her genuine love of her daughter is going to break through her I'm a tool of an evil godness.
Yes.
And I suspect that was sort of setting that up.
Yeah, I completely
that.
agree. I think the denouement for just that cliffhanger is going to be she turns around and wishes her a Merry Christmas, and that there was nothing there to be worried about. I think they are lying to us about there's something sinister there. Yeah,
I actually thought that was a pointless 10 seconds at the end of the show. I think they should have just finished it on Supergirl in the dirt.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd just like to say, though, before we move on for Supergirl, I don't think it was an entirely bad episode.
Okay.
There were certain things for me that, within it, certain moments that I picked out as things that I really quite liked. And I think a lot of them were about the relationship stuff and the way that it portrayed certain moments in the relationship. I loved Kara and Alex talking about being crone buddies.
Yeah.
If they, they got old and they never met anyone again. Whilst I'm quite keen for the Monel and his new wife storyline to be concluded, because I don't want that dragging out, I did like the scene where Kara felt societal pressure to offer them an invite to her Christmas party, and they were like, I'll politely decline.
Yeah.
I felt that those moments and the beats within those moments were very realistic into human plays in sort of quite awkward context. I don't know.
I would thoroughly agree that there was some what felt very realistic and genuine moments. Yeah. The Lena and Jimmy Olsen storyline is it again slightly realistic because they are very hot, so they'll be hot together. Not necessarily in a deep and meaningful emotional way yet.
I like it. I dig it. I ship it.
Yes, you do.
So,
what's their ship name? Lena and Jimmy. Is it Linson? Gina? Olna? It's going to be Olna, isn't it? Olsen and Lena. Don't know.
We might need to work on that.
Well, given Spike and Buffy is Spuffy. So, yeah.
No. That's horrid.
Buffy and Angel is Bangle. So, moving on to Flash. There was a lot of work going on this week, but I think it actually handled it really well.
Yes.
Probably of any series that was doing a lot of work this week, because they were all the overarching plots were the big important things. We had the plot with Killer Frost being important. We had the plot with DeVoe being important. We had the bus metas being important. We had reference to Gypsy and the relationship there. There was a lot going on, but it really worked.
Yeah, it really did, and I enjoyed watching some of the threads which potentially could have been separate threads actually being pulled together and tightened. And I really enjoyed some of the character work. I love Amunet. Love Amunet.
Yeah, She's just relishing the role.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not even sure I have any detail to add to it.
I'm glad that they haven't locked her in their boring prison cell of no food and no toilet.
Yeah.
Because I quite enjoy the fact that she's out and about in the world. I mean, I have severe discomfort for enjoying a character who's essentially a slave trader so much.
Yes, yeah.
That's a problem for me. But the way that she acts, the way that she's got a touch of the Wentworth Millers about her in that, you know, she brightens a scene.
Yeah.
Whatever scene she's in, that scene is crisper and more enjoyable.
Yes, I'd agree.
Yeah.
The Killer Frost stuff was very good. I liked that we are actually leaning on it in a different way. Not necessarily controlling Killer Frost, but actually she's a separate character. But we only follow Caitlin. So we're getting to see her interactions with it without actually interacting with the character.
I like that too, because I actually don't know how much more we could get out of the sort of the character elements of Killer Frost. You know, because she is now a good guy.
Yeah.
She's a good guy. Much like Mick and Rory were good guys with bad guy character traits.
Yeah.
That's what Killer Frost is now.
Snart and Mick.
That's what I meant.
Because he's called Mick Rory.
Oh, yeah. I'm so good at names. But yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So actually, seeing the impact on Caitlin of this dual character, and it must be quite terrifying to know that you have an alternate character that you have no idea what they did. I mean, that's even worse than waking up after a big night when you're at university.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I enjoyed that. I wonder what's going to happen, or if anything's going to happen, out of the reference to Gypsy in this episode. Anything more than Gypsy does a little wiggle out of the non-breakup box.
Yeah. She has a knife now. Because he sent her a knife.
No, maybe not.
It's just reassuring us that they're still a couple, and that's still a thing that's going on.
Yeah, and she'll be back.
Yeah, maybe she was contracted for 8 episodes in a season or something.
I hope she brings her dad back. I liked her dad.
I'm not sure. I think that might be only a very short cameo, because I know he's also cameoed on another American series this season. So,
fair enough.
as a character's dad.
Fair
but again, a character that you are not surprised when he turns up. So,
right.
Yes. We had a new bus meta, Brainstorm.
Yeah.
Who is now DeVoe.
Yeah, is that going to be his personality is effectively being killed, or his personality is pushed into a corner of the brain and there might be some way out for him? I don't think we got to know him enough for that.
Yeah, I would say possibly if it wasn't for DeVoe's wife. Now, she's the one, like we were saying with Ruby and Supergirl, she's the one, I think, in The Flash who is going to end up helping them, undermining him. There's going to be conflict there, I think. Or she's going to be the true villain, and DeVoe's going to change his ways. But I suspect it's more likely DeVoe's the villain. Yeah,
because she doesn't... It's difficult because she doesn't feel villainous.
No.
She feels a little bit amoral rather than immoral, in that for her the most overwhelming driver is to support her husband no matter what that means that she has to do. But yes, she doesn't feel actively evil. So I guess as this new Brainstorm DeVoe character strays further and further away from what she or who she sees as her husband, and potentially even becomes a completely separate personality, then I think her ties to him will loosen and she may come over to the good.
Yeah. I loved his moment when he was DeVoe at Barry saying you should learn to lose every once in a while. It will teach you humility. And that's a really good... It's a really good line. It's a really good way of putting across that, yeah, these guys, whilst they do lose, they have bad moments. The show... This is not a show that ever leaves anything in terrible, terrible, dire straits.
No.
So...
No. I wonder if Barry's decision not to run, not to whip around and hide DeVoe's body in the cupboard before the police break down the door. Yeah. Or, I wonder if those were linked and that those thoughts were linked.
Yeah, possibly. But, yeah. on that point, I've said it in previous weeks, I love that he's using human means to defeat Barry.
Yes.
He's not taking on the Flash, because he can't take on the Flash, but he can use everything else at his disposal.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
And the whole thing with the restraining orders and stuff really build up to this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very, very nice.
Yeah.
Completely different beat.
Okay.
Can we, just before we move on from Flash, mention the joy of Iris being narked?
Yeah. Iris throwing major shade at Oliver and Felicity.
That was awesome.
Both over the present that wasn't on the list, and the fact they got married and took over their wedding.
Yeah, and do you know what? Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
You called it out last week. You were like, hang on, that's not the thing to do.
Yes,
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not all about you guys.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. Iris is still wonderful. I love that they were really setting her up as the leader in this.
Yeah.
And establishing, okay, these are things you need to do. If you're going to be this character, you need to learn to do it. And she did it. And she made a different choice than I expected her to.
Yeah.
I thought it would be, let's go after the more powerful person, so then we can go after the weaker person. But actually, no, protect the weak, which is Barry's philosophy.
Yeah.
Love it.
No, I thought it was great. I thought she really stepped up. I liked Wells, full stop, but I liked Wells's moment of mentoring.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he doesn't pull his punches. He's
No.
not mean for
No.
the sake of being mean, but he just tells it like it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Right.
It's good.
Yeah. The last thing I want to call out is the mention from Dibney about all the cases he's investigated, and he was investigating something about her husband killing the wife, and it turned out the wife had gone and lived in Arizona. Is that the plot to Gone Girl?
Quite possibly.
I think it
it's
is.
something like that. I
Yeah.
mean, I've not seen the film. I've not read the book.
No.
I've read a synopsis of the book. But it sounds like the plot of Gone Girl.
Right?
Yes.
I thought that might be a reference. Actually, no, one final thing. We were reminded that this house is bitchin'.
Yeah. Is that ever going to come to anything, or is it just an in-joke?
I suspect they're keeping it going for a reason.
Yeah.
No, I'm hoping they're keeping it going for a reason. I'm hoping this is long-term plotting.
Yes.
Like we've said, they are doing, and they do quite well on this show.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Legends of Tomorrow. They had to deal with the death of Stein,
Yes.
obviously, so it was quite nice to do a young Stein episode. It's reminding me of something else that did this same thing, and I can't remember what now. Oh, I'll tell you what it's reminding me of. It's reminding me of Two Cathedrals from West Wing,
Okay.
where Mrs. Landingham dies.
Yes.
Spoilers. Mrs. Landingham dies
Oh, Mrs. Landingham.
the episode before 19th of Potomac. And then in this episode, she's in it as a ghost of Secretary's past. But we see a lot of flashbacks to her being introduced to Jed.
Yes.
And the building of their relationship. This felt a little the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helping work through the grief by allowing the character to be there without actually allowing them to be there.
Yeah, and seeing other moments and their feelings on life. The arc with him and Jefferson, I really liked. I liked the using the Back to the Future idea with the letter. I liked Jefferson having to work through it. And then I liked the scientist saying, no, I've thought about this and I've understood. And it completely meshes with the way the character was when he died and what his feeling was at that point. So he's a fully fleshed out character.
Yeah, I agree. I thought they handled it very nicely. It was very touching, and I was so pleased that they resisted the temptation to use that to bring him back. And then, hey, we've changed the future. Look at us. But yeah, because, you know, they're very good at just bringing back dead people in this series. Damien Dark. So yeah, no, I thought it was very well handled. It's a lovely plot.
Talking about bringing back dead people, Wentworth Miller's back.
Hey!
So, frankly, this is the best show of the season so far.
Yes.
Best episode.
Best episode. Yeah. It was, I mean, awful Bebo aside, it was a really good episode. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Wentworth Miller was not too different from the snart he's always played. Frank, and certainly the snart he was becoming when he sacrificed himself. I did say this was where they would have the most emotional depth with pairing him and Rory. Yeah. And they did. Yeah. And it was good. The thing about the alcohol was a bit much, but also in character because they've done the alcohol thing with Rory for a while. And then them resolving at the end that they were trying to make the other into, or treat the other as they had previously seen.
Yes.
So they need to deal with it and move on.
Yes.
It's good.
Yeah, no, I thought it
done.
was very well handled. And Wentworth Miller just acts everyone off the screen.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he chews the scenery like nobody's business. His bit at the end of, cheers.
I really enjoyed him at the start with the puppets.
With the puppets?
That was so funny.
It was so weird.
It's really weird, but I really enjoyed it.
That was a good Stein puppet.
Yeah.
You could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun in this episode that were just little touches. So the puppet was not a little touch, but in seeing how it interacted with each different member of the crew was quite nice.
Yeah.
The arrow music, when young Stein picks up the bow and arrow.
Yes. That was fun.
That's just a nice little touch. The line about, can you go a couple of days without alcohol? 42 hours, sure.
Yeah, it really, the way they allow legends to be light-hearted.
Yeah.
They did it in exactly the right way in this episode.
Yep.
But shoot Bebo.
Yes. Yeah, well, we're not talking about the plot here.
No.
The thing with the Vikings, the thing with Damien Dark, the thing with Bebo was largely forgettable.
Yeah.
A couple of funny moments, a couple of good sequences of action, but not different to any other story we've had about anachronism so far.
No, I agree. I agree.
I did like the setup for the Damien Dark action sequence, them adding layers on as they say, no, if you do that, he'll do this, and then I'll do this, so...
Yes.
Building it up in that way. That was a very nice shorthand to get us there.
Yes.
An unusual bit of direction for the show, so long may that continue.
Yeah, very much so. It was a fun way of addressing it.
Yeah. Agent Sharp was in this a lot, the prefect. Yeah.
I get that. I like that. I ship that.
Do you ship that as well?
I ship that even more than Lena and James, because somehow I care more about it.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see Sarah meeting someone fun and feisty that can meet a punch for punch.
Absolutely. I like that they're developing respect without affection. And that eventually that might come to be they share things, but also it's not... I mean, it's clearly setting up the possibility of a romance. Because, hey, we've got two characters who are into each other's gender. It's not the least subtle. But they didn't just go for it.
No.
So they're obviously building up to something, so that's quite nice. And I liked with her the X-Day Miracle 3-beat. So they start off with Bebo Day.
Yes.
So she understands that the anachronism is having an effect. We then have Odin Day, so we understand there's more to it. And then we return to It's a Christmas Miracle.
Yes.
And that's just the landing of, and we fixed everything. Hooray.
Yes. No, really good. Really good.
So moving on to Arrow. Oliver as leader.
Oliver as leader. Well, I think I've written down bad, then good, then sad.
Yeah.
Basically, because I didn't like him blowing up and spying on everyone and getting really angry when he thought someone had betrayed him. I felt as a leader, he'd overreacted then.
Yep.
But then that kind of came good with him taking the advice from Thea.
Yep.
And forgiving them, etc. But then he'd already spoiled it. So even the people who didn't betray him kind of wandered off anyway. Yeah.
I'm not sure I totally buy all of them completely wandering off. I would have bought 2 out of 3 and one saying we need to find a way to move forward. But all 3 of them feels like we want the cliffhanger of Team Arrow is rendered
destroyed.
Untwain. Yeah.
The surprise for me in that was the Black Canary's boyfriend, partner, whatever he is, being in cahoots with the bad guys.
Yeah.
I hadn't been expecting that.
Yeah, clearly he is getting every villain together to do something.
But I hadn't really... For me, I hadn't identified her partner as a villain.
No.
I'd identified him as Oliver before the expensive counselling. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes. So, yeah. It left me feeling a bit.
Yeah.
Nah.
It was an episode. They've had secrets that they've not even hinted at. I mean, there's a bit that Renee was the one who had the long deposition. They'd hinted at it that he had been brought in and spent a long time questioning, but not that anything else had come of it. Unless it was so subtle we missed it.
I also thought we've had one of his newbies betraying him before.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this wasn't betraying him in the same way. You know, it's not that Renee was always
Acting
planning
against,
to betray him and act against him, but it was just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Secrets and lies.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, we've had a secret. Oh, secrets are bad. It's like, yes, have you not been awake for the last 3 years?
Yeah, right.
No.
So we'll see what comes of it. I suspect most of them are going to make up and get back together with a slightly different relationship. But
what do we think is going to happen with Laurel? Seeing as she now does seem to have developed affection for the man that looks like the father that she never had.
Yeah, that's a nice development. Is that going to be the same thing we've got in 2 other shows? Someone from within working against?
I think she's going to end up dead.
Oh.
I think she's going to not come over to the good, but I think she again is going to be put in a position where she's been told to kill Quentin Lance, and she will hesitate, and someone's going to shoot her in the head. That's my prediction.
Okay. I think similar, but I think Lance is going to end up dead.
Oh, please.
I think the fact that they don't have much they can do with him other than all the story they've done already, this might be the end of the road for the character, maybe, and then that will help her come good.
Yeah, maybe.
Perhaps.
I mean, I really do feel with Quentin Lance, I feel like he's a man circling the drain.
Yeah.
And I think you're definitely right about him leaving the series. I think he's either going to have a moment of redemption and then go and retire to Vegas and live with Felicity's mum, or be dead. But yeah. I don't think there's any more mileage in his character in the show.
Yeah, no. Because people do leave the show. Roy, the ragman.
Yeah.
So it's not without precedent.
Yes.
But by and large, people die on this show.
Yes, but and quite frankly, I think many other people as well as us will be fed up of watching him. Yeah. I'm just over him now as a character.
There is not much narrative juice left in that story.
No. So. Whereas they've refreshed Oliver as a character, and whilst it's all doom and gloom, and actually, I quite enjoy watching him as a character.
Yep.
I've never not enjoyed watching Felicity as a character. No. Thea, I like the new Thea.
I enjoyed Thea dancing with her nephew.
Yeah. Grown up Thea.
Perfect, yep. And giving some good advice.
Yeah. And actually, if you think about Thea's journey over the different series, she has been through some very significant things, and her character has changed accordingly.
Yes.
So I think that, they've, in a more quiet way, because she's not the main character, but they've done almost as good a job in developing Thea's character into an adult as they have with Oliver's.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is some good stuff.
Yes. Okay, did anyone have a particularly good week this week?
Oh, all of Flash.
Okay.
Everything to do with Flash was good this week.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, the other show, Legends, surprised us in being much better than it has been.
Yes.
Arrow and Supergirl just weren't up to speed this week. Yeah.
I agree.
Yes, I enjoyed the Flash, and I liked that cliffhanger that we had from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Genuinely exciting.
Yeah. Arrow's cliffhanger, not so good.
Yeah.
The cliffhanger at the end of Legends. John Constantine and a moment with Malice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, exciting. I think Legends trumps Supergirl this week.
I think it might have done. And I especially think because that's setting us up for at least an episode with Constantine, but something that they've not yet introduced into that world. So a bit of magic and a bit of spirituality or dealing with demons.
Yeah.
Whereas in all the other shows, we've kind of seen who the villains are and what's coming. We now just need to see them fight it. Legends really feels like there is more to come.
Yeah.
To know about this story.
Yeah, agreed. And it's reignited my enthusiasm, or possibly I should actually even say ignited my enthusiasm for watching Legends.
Yeah.
So yeah, good job, Legends.
Well on them. So that wraps us up for another week. If you have any thoughts, any questions, any comments, you can use the hashtag ATAV on Twitter, or find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram as Eloquent Gushing. If you want to help support us, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/eloquentgushing, where you can get access to exclusive content across all our shows. And visit the homepage, eloquentgushing.com, to sign up for the weekly newsletter about the goings-on across all our shows. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you across the Arrowverse.
Across the Arrowverse is an Eloquent Gushing production. For more shows you'll love, please visit eloquentgushing.com.